Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Sorry for the delay. We've got a lot to get through, too much to fit in fact. Darn world, and it's turning so fast. A few national developments and the Yang stuff are on the docket this episode. Let's dive in. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park, Shay Meehan, and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. On the anniversary of George Floyd's murder, Vice has put together a collection of enlightening stories that show why many law-abiding Americans fear police more than criminals. Not that we should really need it after what we all witnessed. Floyd's murder was predicated on a counterfeit $20 bill, and the store owners he gave that bill to have now sworn off calling the police for anything short of violence. It's an approach being taken by many in light of our newfound understanding that the cops sometimes make a situation more violent, not less. It's the reason many cities are looking at reducing their police budget and shifting the money to alternative, unarmed responders for nonviolent cases, which makes a lot of sense. Many countries don't even use armed police beyond a baton, and they have much lower rates of violence per capita. The US is failing on both ends, both in law enforcement conduct and in crime prevention, which is mostly to do with socioeconomic security. The average African American family still has 10% of the average wealth of a white family, and it's a result of generational poverty and oppression, regardless of which symptom you want to look at. We have much more progress to make on both fronts. We cannot ignore it. Call out the problems, demand specific change from your representatives, hold them to account with your vote. On that note, by a narrow vote of 51 to 48, Democrats have managed to confirm Civil Rights Attorney Kristen Clarke to lead the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, a department that is always important, but especially right now. She will be the nation's first woman to fill that role, not to mention the first African American woman. The Pfizer vaccine has already undergone testing for kids as young as 12 years old and been approved for use by those age groups by the CDC. The vaccine has been found to be as effective in kids as in adults. Moderna just announced similar findings for their vaccine, though the official results are still a month away. Though kids are less susceptible to the effects of COVID, they are still a major disease vector. Anyone around them in cold season can tell you that. So vaccinating them is important to reduce the spread and protect those who are vulnerable. Alright, so we need to talk about the comic that has ignited the racism debate with Andrew at its center. This is a very emotional issue. I'll likely offend some people no matter what I say about it, or even by saying nothing. That's not going to stop me giving my opinion, but I do want to preface it by reminding everyone that we're united by a movement that is about far more than any one issue, and I hope that this community is stronger than the nonsense I see online where some people will abandon candidates or movements or whatever over the slightest difference of opinion. It's dumb. Let's not do that. Alright, that said, I'm not happy by the response I've seen from most people on either side of this issue. What I'm seeing is very much like the Israeli-Palestine debate, a lot of people treating a complex matter as though it were simple and treating opinion as though it were fact. That is never good. It's an emotional, reductionist perspective that is toxic to substantive problem solving. In this case, it's people arguing over whether the cartoon is racist or not, as though that's a yes or no matter rather than one of degree, and a matter of fact rather than opinion. So let's get that out of the way first. This is opinion. Someone looking to confirm the cartoon as racist will easily see that, just as someone looking to confirm it as not racist will easily see that. It's down to interpretation. There is no empirical arbiter, nor any unimpeachable authority for what is racist. Anyone claiming otherwise is engaged in logical fallacies or fascist thinking, particularly those calling others racist just for disagreeing with their interpretation. That is the toxicity that strangles productive conversation, including any efforts to change the minds of actual racists, which, I shouldn't have to point out, is vital to reducing racism. People on both ends of this debate are losing perspective in pursuit of a narrative. So I'm sure I've already pissed off a lot of people. Hear me out. The comic is troubling. Whether it was intended to be racist or not, it plays on a narrative of Yang as a foreigner, which runs parallel to a racist stereotype of Asians as perpetual foreigners in America. It will likely embolden racists and is clearly hurting people of Asian descent who are all too familiar with that narrative. And the events used to anchor this narrative of Yang as a foreigner in New York City are extremely dumb and unfair. Yang and Evelyn's reaction to this, both in Andrew's statement and in his and Evelyn's joint press conference, which you can see in the links, made clear that they and others in their lives have been feeling the weight of this foreigner narrative for a while, and this was the last straw. Completely understandable. I'm glad that they're speaking out against this bullcrap attack line. It's gone on for far too long. Another good question is, why does the media only look for exploitable statements from Yang as to his belonging in New York when other candidates have shown less knowledge of the city than him? How much of that can be explained away by him getting extra attention as the frontrunner, and how much is due to conscious or unconscious racism? Even aside from that, the media should be ashamed of the one-sided reporting they have done. The fundamental issue behind this cartoon is the toxic foreigner narrative. We should not be bandying about ideas of what makes a person belong in a city or country or whatever else. Who decides who gets to belong? No description of residence or insert place here is ever going to be accurate. People are being unfairly excluded, sometimes by racial or racially correlated criteria, from the very communities in which they live. I don't doubt that most of the people engaging in these exclusive definitions think that it's innocent, but what we're seeing here is that they are mistaken. It becomes a harmful stereotype and will often incorporate other harmful stereotypes, including racist ones. So let's just not. We're all individuals, we're different. America strives to embrace strength through diversity, not exclusion. The attempts to exclude people through identity politics, whether joking or not, needs to stop. That is my position on it. Ending on a happier note, the campaign has released a new ad, and this time it's Evelyn providing the narration. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been hoping for this. Enjoy it in the links below. You go, girl. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the policing thread, the racial wealth disparity, the civil rights attorney, and the vaccines for kids. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the Resist bot or Income Movement's easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.